Yeah.
You should just buy a tape recorder. They work just as good and they don't kill your phone battery.
Yeah, I'm hoping this won't have enough charge.
And then you can keep all the cassettes and then
Yeah.
you can be like President Clinton and hide them in a sock drawer instead of turning them over to the city to keep.
Yeah, there's gotta be a better system.
For the VFW, that's what I had was a little tape recorder that I'd set down right in front of myself.
Actually, Nick says he can't hear at all. And other people have been saying that too, but he's recording.
Yeah, I think it's since they got these new speakers.
Is it better?
No, they haven't been able to hear. When we just used the microphones, we never had anybody. When I used to look back at them, I could hear what everybody was saying. It's these new microphones, I can't hear anything on there.
I don't know if you guys need to look into something different or I suppose you spent some money on it.
I'm sure whatever they did, they did.
Nick was saying if their meetings, they spent like 20 grand to get a system.
But I don't.
It's not cheap.
I feel bad for them. I get it. They gotta keep their.
I thought Ed was pretty. He took some accountability, and I think he was okay with the final result.
Yeah, I think he was a little hostile to begin with. But
Well, it
did
was because he
understand.
wasn't sure what we're taking it away, are we keeping it, what's going on?
Yeah.
And then when we explained, yeah, we talked about everything, but at the
Yep.
end, we're in unanimous agreement. You know, that this is how to be. And he said, like he said, I think that's fair.
Yep. I'm just trying to be reasonable. He understands that.
Somewhere going on in television.
So what do you do over the 4th? Any big plans?
My son's got to march in the parade in Tower for his baseball team.
Okay.
I think we'll do Ely parade and then the fireworks in Ely. But other than that, I don't think we probably have a fire on the deck. My son got this smokeless fire pit that you can burn wood on your deck without it burning your deck.
Yeah.
So we've been using that. And my wife sprayed the yard pretty good where mosquitoes are down, not a lot of bugs, so we can actually sit out there and enjoy the evening.
I don't
And we
really-
have some friends coming up. They're like Sarah and John's best friend, Powell. And they're coming up, and he was my best man and one of my wife's best friends. And so we'll probably be hanging with them a little bit. I think they're staying at the cabin out on the lake, but I'm sure we'll all get together at some point in time.
Yeah.
Since I can't drink, I'll be the designated driver when we go out, and I'll watch them all have fun while
Well, your mom reached out to all the sisters, wants them to get together sometime around state fair time.
It'd be good to have a family reunion.
But
on
they're
that
trying
side.
to decide where. I think everybody responded except I think Franny did not answer. But the rest of the girls threw in there.
I was surprised she said thank you for wishing her a happy birthday. She's been pretty mad at me over the years.
Yeah,
Oh, it's 5:00.
she's a little firepot, that
I wonder if
one.
the last one that stuck with the last voice, but then, was that in the last one? I wonder if she stuck in the last.
60 correspondence adoption.
I figure if the girls get together, that's a good vacation for them.
Do you want me to? Because we did have overtime for the weather, the storm that we had. We did have.
Well, I think we just use, it should be, we should have it, I guess, but I mean, it's time, yep. Okay, we'll call the regular council meeting of July 2nd, 2024 to order at 5:01. Roll call.
Hoheisel,
Here.
Lassie,
Here.
White,
Here.
Anderson,
Here.
Lossing.
Here. Pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Moving on to item 4, public input. Do we have any public input today for the council? Thank you.
Hi, I'm Becca Leather. Everybody knows me. Before I begin, Glenn Anderson, none of this pertains to you. You're an amazing asset, and I appreciate you more than I can say. Before I actually begin, I'm going to be asking questions. However, due to my limited time, I request that you hold your responses till the end. I will repeat my questions at the end for your responses. My first thing is I will be requesting clarification on some information or some comments that have been made. Council Member Paul, you were quoted in the Babbitt Weekly in response to Matt resigning as saying, no, he was supposed to go in front of the Personnel Committee and didn't, so he chose to do this. I will be asking for you to explain that comment to me. The way it is written implies he quit to avoid a hard conversation or some kind of remediation. Was that your intent? And I am going to request that you elaborate on that comment. On a side note, or on the next note, I have 2 comments. My first is that when I requested a meeting with the Personnel and Safety Committees, I was told no. I could bring it to the full council meeting. So I asked, what document exists that can require Matt meet with you guys in person, but I'm not given that same due regard. I would like for someone to find that document and give it to me. Thank you. Second comment is that Matt asked for accommodations supported by ADA for the meeting you were requiring. These requests were refused multiple times. Can you explain why they were refused and why he doesn't have a right to ADA accommodations? I asked Becky, and as the new administrator, do you believe that the city's processes as they currently stand or as they were when you came into office meet or exceed current ADA expectations? No, they do not. They don't exist. So not only was he ignored, he was told that it was not an option multiple times. Now, we're going to dive into the hostile work environment that was created for not just Matt, but previous ambulance directors as well. Matt has been told for the past 2 years how he doesn't take this role seriously by the safety committee, except you, Glenn, gold star to you because I love you, and that he isn't qualified for this job. Actually, what has been said is that there's only one person in town qualified to run the ambulance, and it's not Matt. Dwayne, you name dropped the person who's qualified. I'm not going to do it in this meeting. Oh, don't put that look on your face. I've heard it from many, many people, and I'm sure most of them will stand up. So I just want to outline some of our successes over the past 2 years. We've been approved for part-time ALS license, have our own education program, went to 24/7 coverage, transports increased 400%, call volume increasing 15% each year. Over 200 people in our community and surrounding communities got the opportunity to have hands-only CPR training, as well as at least 5 AEDs placed with Matt's assistance. We have ongoing projects with Save Kids Worldwide and Towards Zero Deaths. Both those are national programs. We were offered a contract with Sanford. However, due to timing, I had to turn it down. We had to turn it down. And now Ely will be taking on that amazing opportunity that we have with Stanford for an education program. He was working on a community paramedicine program in Babbitt area. Hospital was already on board and starting to work on that. Maybe y'all don't know what community paramedicine is, but our town is what it's designed for. But whatever, the list goes on and on. And I want to clarify for all of you who aren't familiar, he makes $500 a month for his role. He has never charged an extra dime for any of these extra things, not once. So, in case you're wondering, that's what he does for his normal job responsibilities. We tried submitting hours at one point. We were told there was no need, probably because it was like, what, 200 hours in a month? And that $500 doesn't look so great then. But he was also told he doesn't take his job seriously. So based on this information, I want to know what taking this role seriously would look like. Dwayne, you have repeatedly told people the one person who is qualified for the job, that isn't Matt. So, don't answer now. Can you please tell me, based on his accomplishments, public perception in town and surrounding ambulance services, and his resume, what he is lacking to be qualified for this role? Matt was told he didn't dedicate enough time to the service. He has missed vacations, birthdays, concerts, not even been able to go to ill family members to make sure that he ran this service smoothly. During the last 9 months, Matt has had multiple medical emergencies that have left him bedridden for days or weeks on end. He needed to be in Minneapolis full-time for a little bit there to help a family member escape an abusive relationship, as well as running his own full-time business and working a full-time job. During these times, we never missed a call, never missed an on-call shift, and continued to cover transports and were regarded as one of the most successful services in terms of financials and call coverage. On top of that, he still managed to have the highest call volume, above average transport coverage, and never missed a beat to speak with our team. So please, again, tell me how he does not take this role seriously. As a recap, during the past 2 years, Matt has endured being told he doesn't take his job seriously, he isn't qualified, doesn't deserve ADA accommodations, and is a liberal snowflake from the safety committee, actual quote. If this does not constitute an abusive or hostile workplace, I have no idea what does. The most frustrating part of all of this is Matt isn't the only victim of this city council. Matt's just the one who can walk away and will walk away. Your council committees need to self-reflect and decide if you really want people who are assets to walk away. We are a small town. We deserve better. Dwayne, as the mayor, your willingness to speak negatively about and to constituents is embarrassing. I don't know what is on your resume, but I am willing to bet it does not include running an ambulance, a fire department, an accounting department, or any of the other places you have inserted yourself as an expert. So now I will repeat my questions. Question number 1, Councilmember Paul. When you stated, no, he was supposed to go in front of the personnel committee and didn't, so he chose to do this. Please elaborate on that comment.
Rebecca, all due respect, at this point, and it's sad that this is gonna happen, public input, the council is not able to answer
Just, okay,
questions. I'm sorry.
no, that's okay.
On the agenda, you would be able to ask those questions and we could comment, but unfortunately, as it is. So I just wanted you to, I'm sorry. So, but that's the law. It's nothing we can do about it. I'm sorry.
Okay, good.
Any other public input?
What up, council? My name is Caleb, and I'm a housing case manager at the Steve O'Neill Apartments in Duluth, Minnesota. I was a lifetime resident of Babbitt until I was 18 years old. And since I've moved, I've continued to stay in touch with local politics because my family continues to live here and be part of this community. Because of Babbitt's predisposition towards small town dramatic politics, I don't intend to ever move back. Babbitt has informed everything I feel like I need to avoid as a young queer person, see liberal snowflake, finding my way in the world. Though I'm not here purely to speak ill of Babbitt, I'm here to express concern in a mayor and a city council completely unaware of the impact of the city they're creating and the drama that they wish to stir. I'll do this by addressing 2 primary concerns which led to the ambulance director resigning from his role. First, I'd like to address the claims that Matt is not qualified for his position as ambulance director. Again, I am a housing case manager at the Steve O'Neill Apartments, and in that role, I regularly interface with Duluth's unhoused population. I work to get people into housing. I work to help people maintain housing. I can tell you what qualifies someone to do that job. I can tell you what qualifies someone to do that role. What other expertise do I have? My schooling is in political science. I studied a lot about post-colonial theory. I studied comparative politics. I can tell you a little bit about that. That's my expertise, and that's where I'm able to identify what qualifications are relevant. This is all just to explain that my ability to identify who is and is not qualified to complete a certain task is informed by those expertise. I can't tell a single one of you why you're qualified to be here tonight, making these political decisions and statements for your community. And while I may be apprehensive and doubtful that you are qualified, local politics isn't my expertise. And I simply have to believe that you got your positions because someone who knows better than I do put you into them. With the preamble out of the way, I would love to hear, and of course I understand I can't hear, if any council member could describe what would qualify Matt to have a role such as the one he held. What does an ambulance director do? What education, what experience would someone have to be more qualified than he was at his role? Second, I'd like to address the brazen disregard of the ADA by Babbitt City Council. I would expect that because, again, we've established that you guys are all qualified to be in those chairs. And because you're qualified, you must be aware of the Americans with Disabilities Act and must be aware of your duty to provide reasonable accommodations for persons with disabilities. My question then would be, why did you not uphold this responsibility as council people to provide for and advocate to the population you serve and for the people who work tirelessly beside you to make your community a better, stronger place? Again, we've established you're qualified to do your job. We've established that because you're qualified to do your job, you should be aware of the rules and regulations. Why then would you blatantly ignore these rules and regulations? From the outside looking in, it appears as though this is an instance of small town politics emphasizing the comfort and feelings of the five of you sitting in front of me over following laws, open communication, and accountability. I wish I could hold in confidence that Babbitt would trend towards being a better, more inclusive town to live in. But because of the actions and beliefs that are apparently being held by the five of you sitting here in front of me, I simply can't believe that that is the case.
Thank you. Any other public input today?
Hi, my name is Billy Rouse. I'm a business owner in your town. I'm someone who is deeply involved in helping out the police department whenever I can. I've watched and witnessed as this particular ambulance service saved the life of my son and my daughter. I've watched as two young people took on an ambulance, made demands of their ambulance people, worked really, really hard, studied every minute that they could to figure out how do we address any problem that would come in the town of Babbitt. I now have an AED at my motel. The ambulance department, Matt Wiggler, made sure that I had that, along with many others. I have a son with a brain injury, and you all know that. How many times do you know that an ambulance service would go out of their way to create a situation where they could study how you go about speaking to someone who cannot speak back to you? Do you know that your ambulance director did that? Did you know that he has worked so incredibly hard to make sure that the residents who live in this town, no matter how they can speak or how they cannot, are cared for? I'm incredibly disappointed in you.
Any other public input today? Thank you.
All right, I'm going to say something. I was like 1 and 2. Okay. I wasn't going to speak today. I thought about it, but then I decided not to. But after hearing everything today, I want to say something. So, Mr. Mayor, I would like to let the council know that I love my job and I love the city of Abbott. I want the city to grow, flourish, and succeed. I've been working really hard to learn my position, working with the departments, and trying to make a difference for the good of the city. But I feel like I'm not being given a chance to learn how to do my job, let alone succeed at it. Mr. Mayor, you yourself have not come into my office once and asked me any questions about budgets, departments, projects that are going on, or anything. You were asked in a closed session about why you don't ask me questions on the budget from your other council members, and you said that it was because you didn't understand it and didn't know what to ask. My door is always open for any of you. I want you to come in there and ask. I need guidance from you. You are my counsel. I can't learn my job and do better if I don't have your guidance. After the personnel committee met with me for my review, numerous residents came in asking why I was getting disciplinary action for misconduct. When I reached out to a council member to ask what was going on, they had no idea. Why are things that are supposed to be private aired out to the public before the council even has a chance to look into the matters? The few times you've been in my office, Mr. Mayor, was during a police department hiring, where you told me multiple times that if the hiring process was done your way, I would not have been hired. When I go to you and ask you if you have any questions, you tell me no, and then you go behind my back to my staff and my two department supervisors asking questions about me. I feel like I'm continually being ambushed and then have to put my work aside to defend my actions. Today, I didn't get to do half of what I needed to do because I had to write this to feel like I had to defend myself to my council. The last clerk was given 18 months working side by side with the previous clerk. I had been in my position for less than 6 months when accusations were being spread to the public about me. Why do I not get time to learn my position? I'm a human. I am not perfect. The council is here to help guide me in my position, but all I have gotten is accusations of not doing my job correctly. If I'm not doing something to your liking, please talk to me about it. Babbitt is a unique city. There are things done differently in this town than are different from other towns. There's a lot of past practice here. And because I'm new to my position, I do not know all of these nuances of this position or of the city. I heard someone today ask me why I'm not for the West Babbitt development. I'm 100% for the project. We have no homes for sale in this area. We also don't have stepping stone homes for the elderly. I don't know why these rumors and lies are being spread about me when no one even comes into my office to ask these questions. I'm asking the council to please make this hostile work environment stop. I love my job and I love this city. I'm working very hard and doing this job to the best of my ability. I'm also asking the council to give me guidance. I can't get better at this if I don't have your support and your help. This is my first year in my position in the city. I don't think it's too much to ask for the council to give me a chance to find my place in the city with the council and in my position. As I said before, I'm going to make mistakes, but I should be afforded a period of time without hostility from the council. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm just gonna add to this. Becky, we have not always seen eye to eye. We've had our moments, definitely don't always agree. I appreciate the amount of time and effort that you put into your job. There has never been a task that's been too big or anything that I've requested of you that you have not accomplished. As also accounting major, I understand the challenges that you get in the fact that people who don't have that background struggle to read those numbers. It can be really hard. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for your service to our city. Thank you for coming into our city and working hard for every person who's sitting here. I will tell you, the only person I talked to is Troy. He has nothing but great reviews of you and told me you're the best thing ever. So that's all I can say about you, is that even though maybe we don't see eye to eye all the time, I appreciate that you challenge me, that you push me, and that you want things to be done by the law and correctly, regardless of what everyone else is pushing you to do. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Any more public input?
I guess I better. I guess, so Tony Chamberlain, street supervisor. There's a lot of things I could say, couldn't say. We'll just keep it short and tidy. I think all of the department heads, or at least most of us, are 100% in support of Becky and Becky's work. Everything I have ever asked for has been fulfilled almost immediately. I have every piece of documentation that I should be getting. There's absolutely no shortfalls whatsoever in the work that she does that any of us know about. So any other accusations are either false, misguided, misunderstood. I have no idea. I have no idea where the hostility comes from because we don't have this problem at all.
Any other public input? So I guess I didn't write nothing down. When we did Becky's review, all the staff, as Tony said, all the department heads and stuff had a lot of good things to say about Becky. The question isn't in her willingness to try. The stuff that's been brought up that is in question was clearly a fiscal matter, if I'm saying that right. When asked, she was hired in November and she had help from the last clerk treasurer to prepare the next month. The last time that the books were done, at that point, this was a month ago when this came up, when we found out since November that the books hadn't been balanced. So we asked at a council meeting, the answer that we got was they couldn't be balanced because the accounting firms said not to balance the books. My question was, my comment was, we probably should get a new accounting firm. I want everybody to understand, the concern is all about the fiscal part of the job. It's not about what a good person she is, how she treats people, how fast she gets back to the department heads. When we followed up on a council vote to have Councilor Hoheisel contact the accounting firm, and this never did get back, we never did bring this back to the council. We never released the information that Paul found, so.
Our closed session with her, just talking about this.
Oh, okay.
But I think it needs to stop. That was a closed session, and I think we need to get interpretation from the attorney here.
Well, that was at a council meeting. I'm talking about the council meeting when.
You made reference to several things that was discussed at her closed meeting, and
What was that?
Mr. Hoheisel getting told to do that was at that council meeting.
No, it wasn't. That was in an open meeting. We voted on it as a council to have Paul call. Let me tell the story. I'll tell you exactly where the council meeting went. We asked, it all started with the head of the library coming forward and saying, I want to know, she stood right here and said, I want to know, I'm concerned why I haven't got my summary of funds. The last one I had was in November. I haven't had one since then. We turned and asked Rebecca, why is that? The answer was, this was done at the council meeting, so this is public information. It was in, I believe it was documented, it was in the paper, that the accounting firm told us we can't do anything until the audit is done. That brought some concern. My comment was, we need to talk to the accounting firm, maybe we need a different accounting firm, because what accounting firm would tell a small city that they can't balance their books for 5 or 6 months? Then I did ask a question to Rebecca. I said, so this is after we found out that during the week that they were supposed to be closed down, they came to us in March, it might have been late February. Rebecca came to us and said, we need to shut the city offices down for a week because we will be implementing new software, accounting software. We as a council voted to allow that to happen. When that happened, when they were shut down for the week, they did some other tasks. I asked straight out to Rebecca, did you know the week before that the office was closed that you weren't going to be implementing the software? The answer was, we were gonna be implementing the software, but the accounting firm didn't show up to help. That was the answer, and anybody that was at that meeting should remember that, because that was the answer. At that point, it was like, I think we really have a problem with our accounting firm, and we need to talk to them. Why didn't they show up? If they told us they were gonna show up, they should have showed up. At that point, a motion was made to have Paul Hoheisel, Counselor Hoheisel, contact the accounting firm and get answers to these questions. Why did you tell them not to balance the books? And why did you not show up when you told the office staff that you were going to show up? The answers that we got were different than what the accounting firm said. The accounting firm said, we never had a plan of showing up. There was no plan for us to ever show up and help the software. As far as the balancing of the books, we never told them that they couldn't balance the books. What we told them is no new software could be implemented until after budget was done. That was the information that Paul gathered from the accounting firm. So after that, then we started asking for information, which we're still in the process of trying to find out if everything is being done. It is our responsibilities and my responsibility as the mayor and the council's responsibility to make sure that that is the nuts and bolts of the job, is the fiscal part of it and doing the books. And we continually need to be brought up to speed. We still haven't seen that 5 months worth of summary of funds for all the departments. When we asked the department heads themselves, Tony said, we said, Tony, have you been getting the stuff? He said, no, but I know where I am on my budget because I've kept track of everything myself. Troy said the same thing. That's not the way it's done. The city's administrative staff prepares fiscal reports on a monthly basis, and I'm not an accountant, so when I said I didn't understand to go in, the reason I don't show up in Becky's office is because I work in Virginia and I don't get home before they get off work. On my days off, I came up there.
Wow, that's crazy when that works that way.
This has been way more than 4 minutes also.
Yeah.
Okay, very good.
I want
I
to
think
go
I
to
got
council
one.
since Dwayne's found a loophole to answer questions posed to him.
That was public speaking.
Well, so anyone can come around and
I want those
answer
answers, those questions. I want to know why I'm so unqualified.
I don't know.
No, Dwayne, stay out there. I have
I'm not on the
questions you can
safety
answer.
committee. That's what I can say.
Why, as our mayor, can you stand up here and harass Becky,
No,
but you can't answer our questions?
I just took 4 minutes and I'm welcome.
One of council. So first of all,
No, excuse me, that's done. You had your chance at public input already.
Why?
I just took 4 minutes, and if I
you
get my 4
didn't,
minutes,
it
I'm
was
done.
6.5 minutes.
I didn't get my 4 minutes.
You get 4 minutes, Matt. Sure. Absolutely.
Can
I
have
wanna
an
know
extra 2
why.
minutes Since you got 6, or?
The rules put forth for you to be unable to respond to us are only in effect when you don't have something to say to harass somebody else. I want to know why you don't have to comply with ADA accommodations. I want to know why I don't deserve this. You work in Virginia. You're allowed to set meetings so that you can come here on your time that works for you. Why doesn't that work for me? That's a question. I
You can
stand-
walk around if you want to, so you can answer it.
Yeah. Come give public input here. Go ahead, answer my questions. Why is it okay to do that to Becky? When she gave her 4 minutes, you came around here and you tore her apart. And you gave information that was not privy to the public. Why is that acceptable for you?
It was privy to public, and
No.
all I did was state the facts of a meeting. That's all I stated, was the
Right.
facts of a meeting.
Glenn, was that appropriate for him to come over here and address her public statement?
I would refer that over to our
Okay, yeah, I don't, okay, so I
I know.
are we still on the public
input.
Yeah, okay, all right. So here's the way it works. The council can only legitimately address and talk about issues that are posted on the meeting agenda. A public input portion is for members of the public to be able to get up in front of the council. You would have the opportunity to address agenda items. And then obviously the council would consider your input on later agenda items when they take those items up. Or you can address the council on non-agenda items if you have an area of concern, something you want to bring to the council's attention. A citizen can do that at public input, but the council the basic rule is the council on those items that are brought up that are new issues that are citizens expressing concern about, the council would not act on those at this meeting because it's not part of the posted meeting agenda. They may say, thank you for your information, we'll put it on a future agenda and we'll deal with it at that time as part of a posted meeting agenda. The public forum portion is for citizens, and I understand elected officials are citizens of the community. The public forum portion of the meeting is for citizens from the audience to get up and address the council, again, and agenda issues or items of concern. It is not a platform for anybody sitting up here to get up and address the council. That's not what it's for. So if I had been here when the meeting started, I would have advised, of course, I'm not a decision maker here. People can decide what they want to do. I would have advised that's not what the public forum portion of the meeting is for.
Okay, and
So
realize that.
I will apologize because I was out of town and I'm arriving late. Had I been here, this circus that's happening right now would not have happened. So this is done. Move on the agenda.
Public speaking is over.
You are an embarrassment to the city.
I don't
Thank you
know
for
how
your
this
time.
circus happened, but this will not happen again if I'm here, and it should not have happened.
Dwayne, you weren't unaware, Glenn had already said that you can't advise, you can't speak, and you chose to do it anyway. You chose to completely ignore that and make a whole thing of it. That's all on you, dude.
All right, well, what's happened, let's just move on the agenda.
All right.
And just so you know, Mr. Attorney, they are in non-compliance for the ADA. They have failed to provide reasonable accommodations, and I'm pursuing legal action.
Okay, well, if you address that with the council, it's not something we can act on anyway, so.
All right. Moving on to item number 5, additions or deletions. A, earned sick pay, which we will put under new business F.
I don't think there's the right protocol for this, but I'm just gonna give you this so you'll know where the circus started.
And Glenn, did you have something?
Yeah, just put it as a hospital request and I'll explain.
Hospital request under G, under new business will be hospital request. We have a motion to accept,
I'll make a motion, we go ahead and accept the additions as presented.
I'll second it.
motion by Anderson, second by White to accept additions and deletions. Roll call?
Hoheisel,
Yes.
Lassie,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Lossing.
Yes. Moving on to consent agenda. Approve the minutes of the study session of June 18th, 2024, the regular meeting of June 18th, 2024, and the special meeting of June 26th, 2024. Approval of all bills and payrolls is audited by the audit committee. C, overtime report. D, correspondence. And E, adopt exhibit B to resolution number 2024-06. Could,
I'll make a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second it.
discussion.
I have a problem with C.
I do not see the overtime report, and at that point in time, I cannot approve anything unless I can see how much overtime has actually been used in the last 2 weeks.
I'm not finished with payroll yet for the last 2 weeks, so I could not get you the overtime report for today's meeting. It will be in the next meeting.
We'll be overtime on it. We'll be overtime on it, for the audit. It's not.
Okay, I'll make motion that we pull the overtime report out of the,
You don't have to make a motion
I
on it. A city council member, any city council member can just pull any consent agenda item and have it
Okay.
placed on the regular
I
agenda. So you don't
pull
have to have a separate
overtime report.
Your motion is to pull it
Pull the overtime report,
out of the consent agenda
yes,
and have it available at a different time,
2 weeks.
2 weeks? Okay. So motion on the table to pull the overtime report and have it available at the next council meeting. Do we have a motion to accept the consent agenda?
You got it first and second.
Glenn and Joe?
No, me
Paul?
and Joe. Joe, you seconded.
Yes, I
Okay.
seconded it.
Motion by Hoheisel, second by White to accept consent agenda. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Hoheisel.
Yes.
Lassie.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Lossing.
Yes. Attorney's report.
Nothing to report there.
Unfinished business. Library budget.
You came here looking for some money for buying, purchasing of books, I take it, in the amount of 10,000. I guess we were, waiting on Rebecca to give us, the balance of that and
Where to find the.
where it was coming from.
So what we can do is we could just use it, like an appropriation and, do the 10,000 that way.
And we would take that out of city facilities?
Just basically the general one. So like the city,
General?
just like we do when we give them, their quarterly appropriations. So it would be the same way,
How much is in there?
a lot, enough to cover $10,000. So I think it's 1.2 million at the moment. So,
My question is, and I apologize that I didn't make the last meeting, so I'm catching up on what took place here. And I tried to watch the meeting, but it didn't have any volume to it, so when I'm laying on my back, I had a hard time. And unfortunately, it didn't come across. So, the library budget, I went back and looked at where the library budget was when we first started out and where the library budget in 2024 with the adjustment was put on. There was $8,000 that was allocated in that time to books. And the question is, you can't buy any books. And I guess my question is and that was supposedly adjusted and different than wherever the money came out of, this was the adjusted
But
thing.
I don't know if we skipped this.
yep, that's what he's looking at.
Oh, so it's easier to explain by, the council said that the library had to adjust 9,400.
Yep.
So then that second column is where we adjusted. So the first column, if you deduct that 9,000, the
Mhm.
adjusted budget would be 172. So with that second column, we were adjusting all of our line items, and we could even still only get to 174, and that's taken all of the book money away.
Almost all, but there.
Yeah, because they have spent 361 already, so, that's, as long as you have that in front of you, then.
Okay, so that's what I'm looking at and reading, okay. But the library board does have the adjustment that they could take the money and move it around. All farms have been able to do that, right? In the past.
Right, and we tried to take that 9,000 and we tried to
Yep.
deduct that and, on all the line items, and there's just no way.
But then you ended up getting what, $8,000 new range. And I understand that that money was allocated for programs.
Correct. we
So it
had
has to be
for
sent
operating.
to there. But doesn't that free up money other places?
Well, for
Because of
programs,
your,
if you look at the programs,
I
we
did
took
look at
that
the
away
program.
too.
Yeah. Yes, it did.
Yeah, we took that, because
Good.
instead of $600, they had spent $72, but instead of 600, we took the 527 out of there. So yes, you're right, that would come under the program for new range.
So you had that. The 3,000 from, I'm hearing, didn't go through because the paperwork was never finished up with. So you lost 3,000 that was projected to be also added.
The application was made, but it was never followed through.
Okay, so that never got, so the application was there, so you had the availability of getting another. My other question is, we cut every budget. It wasn't just the library budget, right? So now am I gonna hear from Tony that's gonna come in and say, fire department, we want another 10,000 because you whacked us. Street department, I want another 10,000 because you whacked us. Police department's gonna come in and say, hey, I want $10,000 because you're giving it to the library because you whacked our budget. And ambulance is gonna come in, all these departments are gonna come in and say, wait a minute, if you're gonna give this back to the library, when you settled your budget, which we did, and everybody was in agreement, you didn't like it, we didn't like it either. But we had to come up with the money, and this was the budget that this council set. And that's where we're at. All of a sudden, you're coming in and saying, whoa, this isn't fair. No, it wasn't fair to any department. But we had no choice on that. So, am I gonna now hear, if we pass a 10,000 allocation, well, we have money in here, and yes, we do have money, but we also have some things that need to get done, and we don't wanna start diving into it if we don't have to. It was a budget. It's already done. Live within your budgets.
Yes, Captain.
But I can see that you have another department, I'm still talking. I can see other departments coming back to us and saying, wow, this isn't fair. You took 10,000, we want our 10,000 back. And it goes right down the line. And I wouldn't blame them at all to come in and do that. Why wouldn't they? If we've got this much money sitting around, why did we even cut the budget? Why did we come up with a budget? And now we're looking at just around the corner, it's budget time again. And we have to sit down and look again. And we're not sure even where we're sitting yet with this budget. And until we do, $10,000, yeah, it's a drop in the bucket. Might not be. The last 2 years that we've had budget changes, it's been terrible. We've had cut off a lot of money right down the line. So, I understand where you guys are coming from. I understand we don't want to close our library, and that's not what we're asking, to close the library. We give you funds, okay? More than what the state says we have to, and you know that. You guys know what it is. So we've given you more money than what we have to by state. We've always done that. But again, I don't want these other departments to come in and say, hey, and it would be very unfair for us to give you 10,000 without giving each one of them 10,000. Because they're living within their budgets or trying to. And that's what we're asking you, live within your budget.
So just a quick comment I would like to make. I suppose I gotta turn this on. This is in part for the other departments. When we talk about if it was to go through or not. The council, if those recall, had a battle royal with the library board. I guess that's a good way to call it. What their authority was versus what the council could impose upon them. And at the end of the day, we found that the library board is their own governing body. The library, in their defense, I'm on the library committee. I'm not on the committee, but I'm one of the guys that sits in their meetings. Had a unique situation where the city council intervened in their budget cuts to meet their budget this year by forcing them to maintain a position that they were going to get rid of to meet their budget. We basically, I would say, bull-armed them into keeping that position open and not being able to cut that money that would have allowed them to meet their budget full. So I just wanted to, for honest disclosure, they did try to make attempts to meet the budget that we restricted pretty good to meet their needs, but that's not something that we've done to other departments. We didn't go to the street department and the police department and tell them they can't do this and do stuff that would cut budgets. So we did, just so everybody's aware, restrain them and force them to keep a position they wanted to close that would have allowed them to have more than the 10,000 that they need to meet their other needs, because we felt they shouldn't just get rid of a union job and remove a position that they had there. Even though it was at their discretion to do so, they complied with the council so that we could come together. And as a result of that, they weren't able to come up with that extra money that they're asking for now.
I want to dispute just a little bit of that, Joe, because yes, there was a battle royal that was going on. And yes, they were looking at cutting position. Was it fair? Was the question. And it would have came back as an issue, it would have been on their board. But part of that is, and you can ask the members that stepped down, why were we going to give the librarian more hours when we were going to cut a position? So there's more into this than just what you're saying. So there was, and it ended up being their responsibility. We found out, no, we don't have that authority. They have that authority. All we have is the purse strings. So we could not tell them what to do on their position. If they wanted to fire that person, they could have. I think they looked at it and found out what the labor laws would have been, and there was a change in venue that took place due to that. But that was not, our doing. It's their doing. That's when we found out you guys are autonomous from us. All you do is come and ask us for money. You can do what you want with that department. And we found that out. And for years, did we ever know that? You were there, Elaine. You were there, Kathy. Did we ever know that we, as a council, didn't have the final say over them? I didn't. You didn't. I take
As far
it.
as, I know that the council would give them the money and yes, they are responsible for spending their money.
Right.
The council can't say, no, you can't spend.
No, but we also thought that we could tell them what to do, and we didn't.
There's a gray line there.
Well,
with the
It is,
scheduling.
and that's
Go
what I'm
ahead,
saying.
Kathy.
We found out eventually that, no, we don't have the gray line. It's strictly, they're autonomous like the PUC. So we found that out.
So I was employed by the city for 30 years and I did budgeting for that long of time. And it is a process and it's a lot of cutting and nobody likes to cut. It's hard. But when we were at the budget session, I guess I wasn't part of the library board at that time, but I was in the budget meeting. And the library board was told to come back if they needed new funds. So that's what we're doing. Sorry to explain, you saying that the council gives them more than the state, that's true and correct. There's an amount that the state says is the minimum amount that can be given. You can't operate the library with that amount. The library had a surplus in all of their funds for many years. And for many years, the council has been taking that surplus and putting it towards the budget. There is no surplus in their funds anymore to use. If the police department, street department, fire department, they're all in the general fund. If they go over their budget, it's absorbed in that general fund. So they don't have to worry about if they go over. I know that, Troy, I'm not picking on you. The police department, they've had issues where their payroll is over all the time, but it's just absorbed with the general fund. And so I think Becky's idea of going with that appropriation would be a real good idea. Library appreciates anything that you can do to help because as you can see, what we cut, there's no money left in that budget. July books. And we owe it to the citizens of Babbitt to help out as much as we can. Thank
Well,
you.
that's
I'll make a motion that we come up with $8,000 to pay for that line item that the library board needs to buy books for the city of Babbitt.
Did you want to specify where on the recommendation?
Coming from the recommendation of Rebecca out of the general fund.
I'll second that. Motion on the table by White, second by Lossing, to reduce the request down to $8,000. So the library can continue operating and offer the public what brings them in the door.
It's for books.
Books.
Yeah,
Yep.
books that they're requesting.
Yep.
I do have a question.
Discussion, go ahead.
The library, how much do you usually ask for at the beginning of the year or budget time for books? 8,000? So then we're halfway through the year. Would 4,000 cut it for you?
We've got a lot of other expenses, Paul.
But I thought this was, you're asking this for books only.
Well, that was Joe's motion.
Oh, that's,
That was his motion, was to put it towards the books.
But isn't that your request?
I thought that's what it
We
was.
requested $10,000, to pay for the books, the, what was it that we,
Yeah, I thought it was only books. I didn't know they had other line items.
and then we had a couple insurance claims too that. And the staff shortage too, it's hitting us too.
You know, I know we did say if you needed money, come back and ask for it. And I guess I look at another request or something on the agenda that's really a concern for me, and that's the heat pumps. And I don't know what our costs are gonna be there. And we have discussed that. So, until I get an idea or a report farther on down the agenda about the heat pumps and the costs there, if it comes to a choice of books or heat pumps, it's not even close. So I would like more information before I,
But your heat pumps would come from your city facilities fund, and I don't know what that balance is.
A little closer now today, so I can't give you an exact total, but it was like 256,000.
Did that, Rebecca, did that 200,000, did that get put into that
Yep, that
fund?
was that.
And
Yep.
now you figure it's like 250
Yeah, it
or
was
something?
like 256,000 or something like that. And that was after
So we
anything,
should get 200 that we got put in
that was
there.
after all of
Okay.
Yeah.
the bond and everything was.
That
taken
was
out of it.
that 200 that we got at bonding time
Yep.
last year.
Yep, but our bond for the building and stuff was taken. I took that out of the total. I had brought it to the last
That's
meeting, that totals, so. It will be tens of thousands. The heat pumps will cost to rebuild, but it will come out of the municipal funds.
Right.
So,
Are you good with your motion, Joe?
I am.
Okay. So we have a motion on the table by White, second by Lossing. Any other discussion? Roll call?
Hoheisel,
Yes.
8,000. Lassie,
no.
White,
Yes.
Anderson,
No.
Lossing.
Yes.
Thank you.
Moving on to committee reports, Public Safety Committee, Ambulance Department officers.
I'm not sure.
Mitch? Yeah. Hate to bring this up, but since my wife's on the committee, should I have abstained from that vote for the library?
No, you're not, it's not a conflict because it's not an economic, it's not a personal economic interest to you. So in
Yeah.
fact, I was gonna say, if you voted against it,
Clear it, yeah.
you could have.
He's already in the
You would've been welcome to
doghouse.
stay at my house tonight, Paul, if you voted against it. But, no, but it's not a conflict of interest, yeah. But no, it's not a conflict. You can vote on it.
Okay. Committee reports.
I don't understand what's public safety. Oh, we had that. Right. I'm flustered, I'm sorry.
The Public Safety Committee met yesterday to address the ambulance department officer's situation that we're into. Doing that, taking out of his position, requesting to go out of his position. We also later on,
I think we should.
in the agenda, we also have another officer that's resigning in that. So there's two positions.
I think we should move that.
Make it H.
Yeah, I guess maybe we should do that real quick. Because we need to do
We
that
don't
first.
know all of them.
Let's move that down to H. I'm sorry.
Okay,
Public
we're
Safety
gonna
Committee.
move the committee report from the Public Safety Committee down to H, new business. Okay, moving on.
Make a motion, we gotta move it.
I'll make a motion, we move the public safety committee
Do we
A
need to
to
make a
H.
motion, Mitch, to move that?
No, you can just
Okay.
do that as.
All right, moving on, committee reports, steering committee heat pumps. I guess that's you, probably, Dave.
I don't have no information.
Or do you wanna talk about what we discussed?
Yeah, I can, you probably have to cover me, I can probably get part of it. So the steering committee met a week ago, and Rebecca had in communication with Iron Range Plumbing, we had one of our heat pumps go down. They were able to get that one going again, but both of our main heat pumps in the building, the main pumps, these are not the heat pumps that serve every individual, like every individual space in this building has its own heater, has its own heat pump, clinic, senior citizens, and so forth, so on. So the two main heat pumps, which we have been down to one for a long time, that second one, we identified that when we started the steering committee last a year and some months ago, that pump was down, that in the future we needed to rebuild it. So after doing a lot of studying the system and looking at everything, I think the history, just bring people up to speed, pumps, the regular heat pumps in the rooms were gonna cost us $18,000. We found a company that came in and through some rebates that were offered, we replaced heat pumps for around $7,000. Now, this is a rebuild of the main pumps. So that's what we're talking about. To bring you up to speed, what we're talking about is rebuilding the two main circulating pumps that run the whole system. So, and the idea is to take the one that's completely down, rebuild it first, and then once that's up and running, they can take the one that's living on a prayer and rebuild that one, and we'll be back to good then. So we did kind of a walk around of the building. We covered, there was a leak back in the electrical room behind the stage, and we identified a hose that was leaking. We identified some pipes that still need to be hung. That's been like that since the first walk around. That's never been taken care of. So Rebecca, in communication with the Iron Range Heating, is getting that addressed. So did you get?
I was hoping to have quotes with this on here. I don't have the quotes.
We don't
yet.
have a quote yet.
No.
So
They tried to get them.
So I guess without a quote, we're probably not going to go any farther.
No.
Yeah. So I guess that's just a little history lesson, and that's what we talked about. Unless there's anything else you want to add about that meeting.
No, I mean, we did a walk around, we did a thorough look at what was going on during that big storm that we had. Every one of the heat pumps went out. So we're assuming that the building was hit by lightning and we had a power surge. So there were a few extra pumps that were down that were not previously down before. They did come in a second time. We were able to get all of those ones running. So nothing else had to be fixed with them, they just had to reset them. So, yeah, otherwise I think that was.
And I know you guys are trying to keep out, I know there's been a little bit of thermostat stuff going on here. I think during our walk around,
Yeah.
you were messing with something that you had kept, was it here? You
This
keep
one
resetting
is-
it, keep
yeah.
going the other way or something, so there's that. And then I will touch on also, when we, when the League of Minnesota Cities covered the roof to have it repaired, I would like to report, and I think we talked about this, but we walked around, looked around, and
I only found one leak
yeah, where was that again?
in my storage closet, just around the corner.
Yeah, right in the
So-
office storage.
Yep.
So the work that Tony did up on the north wing, which was a real concern about leaking, actually hasn't had a drop of water since you wrapped up those big vents. So that's a good thing.
And that roof stays completely dry,
Yeah.
even when it pours.
Yep, so, it wasn't a good winter to get a real, baseline because we didn't get the snow we usually did, but what we figured is the snow was packing in those vents because the residual heat would turn into a big block of ice in the spring, it would melt and come right into like where the, rummage sale for the veterans is going on down there and a couple other rooms. So when we were walking around also, we talked about, Rebecca is in the process of trying to find a contractor to start replacing ceiling tiles, because that was part of the money that we got for that. The League of Minnesota Cities is paying for having all the tile, any tile in the building that has water damage and stuff like that is gonna get replaced. So that's pretty much what that committee meeting was about. Yes, Kirsten.
Lossings does carry the tiles. We ordered them. They arrived yesterday. The insurance money for the roof repairs covered everything, including all of the ceiling tile replacements in the main area. So just not the ones in the hidden areas. So our goal is to, if Rec and Street will have a free hour or two at any point this
Yeah.
summer with the summer kids, maybe ask
If
them
you
to put up the.
If they get packed out a little bit at a time, nothing's an emergency, like we talked, well, that's great that they're available. So the league said that it probably the cost of whatever they priced the tiles at, that it should have covered the tiles and labor, but what you're saying, it probably, we're gonna, yeah, okay, all right, well, that's good to know.
Can I ask that you make sure that the physical therapy room tiles get replaced? Because I promised them 2 years ago.
So, and we could,
That was one of my first.
They are.
that's good.
whole one is in the list of the ones that we ordered.
That's probably really good, Rebecca, too, that you're prioritizing, you need a rental space, and anybody that's paying to be in this building.
I think
that's
the only
important.
ones we didn't order tiles for were just like the back loading dock, that's not
Yeah.
being used, and the areas like
Yeah.
behind.
Those were tore
that
out far
aren't used.
before, so, okay.
Make a motion to table this and have it
Yes,
revisited
yeah,
on July
yep.
16th.
Motion by Hoheisel, second, I'll second it by Lossing to table the steering committee heat pump situation until we get some prices on repair. Any other discussion?
I just know it too, Mayor, just when you go to get quotes, try to get at least 2 or 3 you should have
Yeah.
from different vendors.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Moving on to new business. Senior Center Municipal Kitchen.
Make a motion, just go ahead and sidebar it like we talked about. We already went through the plan in the committee meeting, and next council meeting, Rebecca will present the final draft of what we talked about in there. And we'll allow the seniors the opportunity to readdress any of those issues they have to finalize it, and we'll vote at that time.
I'll second it.
Motion by White, second by Lassie. To put this out to the next meeting, have Rebecca come back with the stuff for the senior kitchen. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Moving on to B, street department road funding. Tony.
Yeah, we'll just touch on that. I got some, information that we're gonna be getting some money from the CGMC, and some other money out of a TAA fund apparently. We don't have it in writing yet, but, for road damages. It's a one-time payment, sounds like it's under 30,000, but over 25, somewhere in there. We don't have it in writing yet that it's coming, but I wanted the go ahead. What we're gonna do is the thing to do with money like that is to re-gravel the gravel roads that got washed. We have a substantial amount of gravel to haul in the Bentonville area. Some on the Conservation Club Road, some on the wastewater treatment plant road, and then also on the section of Spring Ridge Road between North Drive and County Road 70. So I talked to 4 contractors. By far the best price is gonna come from CC Winger. It's the closest rate for class 5, so that's just the way it's gonna go. So I'd like to get a pre-nod, I guess, to apply that money to gravel from CC Winger, so that I can get on a schedule. We're supposed to be receiving it by July 20th. But I want to be able to get on Winger's schedule so that we can get this done promptly, and by the end of the year for that matter.
What did the street committee say about it?
I didn't get it there yet.
Oh,
This just came up because of the floods.
Yeah, this is,
Unfortunately.
if I would have had it in writing, we would have had a different meeting, but like I said, I'd just like to try and get on the schedule tentatively to get us a spot in there. If something changes later, then we'll change it. But
I'm okay if the money comes through.
So I'm gonna make a motion, so Tony can go ahead and get on the schedule, pending getting the money. Reasonable?
Yeah, perfect.
All right.
I'll second it.
Motion by Lossing, second by Anderson, to allow Tony to go ahead and get the work schedule pending the funding. Any other discussion?
I just have one other thing to add to some of the things that are going on. Today, we removed a substantial portion of Beaver Dam from the flow going southwest out of town. I got permission from the DNR. They're gonna issue a permit for some of the other work that we might have to do there. And we're gonna circle back to that this fall after it freezes. But they did give me permission to do some small things to try and get some water to start to flow that way. We still have water coming over the Conservation Club Road at this time. So we did take several measures today and got a lot of water started that way, so that was good too.
Okay. Motion on the table.
Was the public utilities involved in that?
Mhm. No, it's,
'Cause we also deal with the beavers back there, public utilities.
which is exactly what it is.
Right, I know that.
It's that portion there, yeah. So I've been in touch with the DNR on getting an actual permit to do something for real there. And then we really kind of hit a threshold where we had some property damage and water going over a road.
Talk to Chucky, we might already have the permit.
No, that's different. That's a nuisance animal permit that's done up on the hill up here. So it's different. I need a waterway permit.
All right.
Okay. Thank you, Tony. Motion on the table. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Hoheisel.
Yeah.
Lassie.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Lossing.
Yes. 10C, ambulance training officer resignation. We have a letter here from Rebecca Littler. I will be resigning from the training officer position effective immediately. I'm not sure what is happening, but the abuse coming from the remaining officers is not acceptable to me. Thank you, Rebecca Littler, dated June 26th.
Make motion to accept the letter and send her a letter from office staff, thanking her for doing the training.
I'll second that.
Motion by Hoheisel, second by Anderson, to send Rebecca Littler a letter of thank you for her service, appreciation. Discussion?
Well, I wish we could deny both of them from retiring or resigning. I thought Matt did a phenomenal job. I'm on the ambulance department. They didn't ask me any questions, obviously, but I was unaware of any of the stuff they talked about. That's only with the safety committee. I'm not on it. I wish Jim and I might have been able to know about some of that stuff. Maybe we could have prevented it. I think it's a big loss to the city. Rebecca does an outstanding job on training, so she will be difficult to replace on there. And Matt also did a phenomenal job as director and moved us in places that I honestly didn't think we'd be able to go. And as an EMT on the department, it was an honor and a privilege to work with those guys. I thought they did a hell of a job, and they will be missed. And I hope that they continue to still serve. My understanding is they'll still help out the department, even though they have some things that they're upset about. So.
Yeah, I would echo those thoughts, Joe, and just for the benefit of the council, you know, because Joe and I are on the audit committee, and we see all of the reimbursements coming through from the ambulance and that, and there's nobody that has answered more ambulance calls than the Littlers, and quite a service, and I hope they do continue because their service is invaluable to us.
Okay.
Yeah, it is gonna be a loss. And I did have a chance to talk to at least Matt, and he does have some health concerns and some of the things that were brought up. Unfortunately, the time frame was one of his big concerns. Again, this is a volunteer department, and when we're asking the fire department and we're asking the ambulance service, who are totally volunteers, to step up to the plate and take these positions, it's a lot of time. The money's not an issue because it isn't enough. You know, I've been there. It barely pays for any of the time that you lose. I mean, it's invaluable. But the positions that these guys held, I mean, we have an ALS rig in Babbitt. That's unheard of for a small town. Unheard of. EMTs, yes. ALS, we have 3 people that I know personally that are walking around today because of that. If we wouldn't have had that service, it wouldn't be here. So it's sad. It's very sad.
Just want to add, I'm kind of with Joe and Jim here, not really privy to what goes on with the safety committee. We have committees for all these different departments, so needless to say, I was on the loop. I am on the personnel committee, but did not know most of what I heard today. I did not know anything about most of it, so.
I gotta step in there for a second, because the personnel committee was going to meet with Matt over things, so if you weren't aware.
Well, I was aware that we were gonna meet with Matt, but not all the stuff that, yeah.
That's part of the
Me and
reason.
Paul knew about what came forward from Rebecca, which came from you guys at the safety committee, so.
So you knew that part of what he was talking about, you didn't know about.
Application to the West Babbitt Development Committee.
I think we have to vote on the motion to accept the resignation.
Okay, there's a motion on the table by Hoheisel, second by Anderson, to accept the resignation of Rebecca Littler. All in favor? That we did.
Aye.
Okay. D, application to West Babbitt Development Committee.
How many do we have on this committee?
There's supposed to be 5 or 4 right now. We're at 4 right now.
We're at 4. I wasn't sure, I missed.
Jim and myself, Kathy and Andrea.
Okay. Then I'll make a motion that we go ahead and we have 1 applicant. I'll make a motion to accept that applicant.
Second.
Motion by Anderson, second by Hoheisel, to accept application from Lisa Poppenhagen to the West Babbitt Development Committee. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
E, recycle center issues.
I emailed you guys and you guys have asked that we discuss it. I don't know if the issue, it comes up every summer, seems to be a recurring thing. People are leaving garbage outside of the bins. Seems like it happened over the weekend. I don't know if the bins were full or not. According to the people working it, they were not, but I don't see why else. It looked like it was all recyclable materials. I don't know if it has anything to do with the flooding. Just read that.
Yeah, looking at the picture, obviously some of it was flooding because, you know, there was a ladder, obviously from a deck or a boat and fishing paraphernalia. But yeah, we do run into this a lot in the summer, and it's I'm suspecting probably not our year-long residents. I suspect it's the summer residents who don't really care. You know, where they leave their trash. You know, and we've tried a lot of things. We've had cameras. Can't get a good camera because they're all, I don't know, with all the technology in the world, we cannot get a good camera. And I'm just wondering if we shouldn't look at this again. If this is a reoccurring problem, I don't know, Kirsten, has it happened since you sent us the pictures?
Not that I've been told.
So
Okay.
when I go up there, when I see this is going on, it's usually the dumpsters are full, and it happens in the summer because there's more people around. You got the campground, you know, there's more people, and people are outside enjoying whatever, which creates more garbage. So when I was up there the other day, they were actually all aluminum can bags, I guess. Most of it was all recyclable, you know, people's recyclables in black bags lining up. They look like bags of garbage, which they are, but they're recyclable. So I don't know if there's, I think we talked about this before, there's not room for another. You'd only need it like 2 months out of the year. It only happens at the peak of the use here, it seems
They
like.
won't bring us an additional one anyway.
Oh, they won't, huh?
No.
Oh. And are we maxed out on the size of these things already? There's only one size?
Yeah.
But that's what it looks like.
Lock the gate when they're getting full, can you just lock the gate?
It was locked
Yeah.
on Monday and there was stuff piled in front of the gate.
Oh, jeez.
How good's your internet at the city garage?
Well, it's decent there,
I
but
mean, you can get a camera that's not that expensive. You can mount right outside like you do at our houses, and you can at least maybe make some phone calls based on license plate numbers, and maybe word will get out, quit doing that type of stuff.
That's,
yeah, we looked into that.
we had a camera up there and we were not, we could see that a vehicle would pull in, we'd see the person move, but you couldn't read. the
No,
license
but we
plate.
looked at good cameras.
Yeah.
And they were
And
thousands.
at $25,000, we decided that was
Oh,
not
no.
a reasonable.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong too, but McGregor said that it's kind of tricky to enforce with the camera too, because I claim that Becky was driving my car, so even though it's my license plate in my car and it looks like me, it's not me.
And I know one of the officers went up there and took some cardboard boxes with some names off of it. Not one of them was a resident of Abbott. And I don't know where they're at with that, but I know he had been up there. The bins were not full. They had been replaced and this stuff was outside. You know, they just didn't put it in. The bins had already been there. So, you know, it's an ongoing problem. I hate to say it, and I hate to be a downer, but we have gone through this just like we did with the senior citizens area so many times.
Yep.
I think we need to put it out there, put it in the paper, whatever you want to do, that if this does happen again, we're done. We don't need to recycle anymore. If you want to recycle, go to Yili. Go to the dump and recycle. Take down the fencing, get rid of the recycling. We don't need the headache anymore. We're paying to have people up there to recycle and people aren't following the things. We've been through this so many times. Staff has to go up here in the wintertime. There's plowing in order for us to even get in there. They're turning around and picking up garbage because it's coming out of there and it's flowing around the city. I mean, we're spending a lot more money than it's worth having a recycle center. And it's just not getting any better. We've tried everything, blocking the gate, changing the times. I mean, I feel it's time, you know, we continue to have this problem. It's time just to get rid of it. It's just an eyesore. We don't need it. We don't want to recycle anymore. Forget it.
Once
Because they're
again,
not recycling when they're throwing it out there. They're not recycling, you know.
once again, I don't think it's the citizens of Babbitt.
It's not.
I think it's the tourists that are coming in, campground, cabins, whatever. Maybe it's that ghost.
You take that away and this stuff ends up in the woods and in ditches and all over the place in the community. And it is something that's a headache and it happens every year and it happens at the same time of the year every year. And it's just a couple of weeks and we got to put up with it because it's a heck of a service to offer your community. That's my opinion. I would never take that away. We have to deal with it just like we do every single year and we get by and pretty soon the truck is getting there before the dumpster is full. It's at a certain period of time, and it's a short window that this is happening. I think it's a service to the community. It's one of the reasons you pay taxes in town, and it's unfortunate. And there's no real good solution. We can't get a bigger dumpster. We can't have them come more often in the summer. Is that a possibility, Tony?
Well, so the attendants could look at it, and if it's full way ahead of time, they might get one out.
Well, then I think that's what we need to, even if it's not, okay, let's say the pickup day is 10 days from now,
No, it's twice a week.
or okay, twice a week, whatever. They should be able to get an idea if it's gonna make it or not, right? Just by.
We've tried this before, we just let you know, the county, we're at their discretion. The recycling center is a county issue, it's not really us. We have a recycling center, yes, and I agree, it's a benefit, to get it done, but it's a county issue. And when you call the county, they are only gonna send those trucks to, if one is full. We can call them and request, but we're at their mercy because it's their program. And they will tell you if our trucks are out to all the other centers, you're not gonna get a truck.
It looks like-
It's up to them.
It looks
They
like,
say 48 hours.
huh?
They say 48 hours. If you call, they can pick it up within
48 hours.
Is that something that one of your crew can check on when it's getting like at the second week?
No, we have people that are there every day.
Yeah.
Okay.
Attendants that let us know.
And they're supposed to lock the gate, which they locked the gate.
They lock the gate for it.
They locked the gate because they were full and the people threw it outside. That's what I'm saying. This is,
So we're contracting those people to be there. Maybe we need to have another discussion with them and tell them, you need to let us know a little bit ahead of time so we can get a call into the county just by chance that they could come and
They do
come a
let
little
us-
bit early.
They do come in if it's getting full beforehand.
Yeah?
Yeah, and will let us know so that we can call. And this
Maybe-
isn't a.
Maybe the
just a
anticipation of
tax
that call's
issue.
gotta be a
This is
little bit sooner than what it is.
yeah, this isn't just us. Other towns are running into the same exact thing that I'm trying to do, this decent thing and recycle. It's
Right.
not just Babbitt, unfortunately. And we've tried everything. I mean, we tried putting a recycle center up here.
It's really straightforward. We're gonna pay people to pick it up and clean it up and keep it clean, or you're not gonna have it.
And that's what we're doing now, right? Paying people to pick it up, makes a mess. At least most of the mess ends up inside of a 10-foot fence and not all over town.
No, not the other day. they
Well,
threw it
yeah,
outside
they
because the
piled
gate
some
was
down.
out.
I would disagree.
You're gonna
with
get that twice a year too. All right, it looks like no action can be taken at this point. It's a reoccurring situation. And we just.
Well, I would make a motion that we put it in a paper again. We need to write up something and just say, due to this happening, we would hate to have the city lose this benefit. But we can't continue to have this problem going on. And it goes out. We need to put it at least in a paper that this is,
Is that your motion?
yes, it is.
Second.
Motion by Anderson, second by Hoheisel to put a reminder in the paper to not abuse the recycle center.
We could put a notice that campground saying that the recycle center is in, for Zealy.
Yeah.
To use that one as a reminder.
Just put that stupid Durango that's always in the shop there with the dummy from the ambulance department. People say- It'll have some good use, right? All it does now is drain our funds.
Discussion on the motion?
Well, I think it's something we have to do, but the problem is that the people who need to read the notice will not read the notice because they probably aren't aware of any paper, or the Babbitt Weekly or whatever. It's sort of like we're preaching to the choir. I think the Babbitt residents are pretty good about not trashing the place. It's the Summer residents. So,
Is there any recycling bins at the campground?
well,
There are-
yeah,
the
there's
dumpsters, but I mean,
dumpsters.
people are recycling. We're in a different era where people.
Well, they didn't recycle it.
No, but
Some of that was
I'm
not
bringing it up
recycled.
because you can get that stuff free from the DNR. There's grants you can put in to get free bins. And if we think it's a campground, people, if they have a place they can put it at the campground, maybe they won't drive when they're coming to empty their shitters out and throw it in there on the way out of town.
Some of it was just garbage. that was-
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it wasn't recyclable.
Well, we also picked up a whole bunch of garbage out on the timber track road by the wastewater treatment plant too, for absolutely no reason at all, so. I mean, it's the way it goes sometimes.
That's right. Okay. Any other discussion on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
10F, sick pay. Yeah, goes back to the earned sick and safety time.
The policy's in the back part of, with all the clipping of information.
So I asked this to be on the agenda. So the state of Minnesota put out guidance on leave requirements. The guidance was intended for companies that make you use PTO and your personal time for sick leave and don't offer sick leave. It was guidance that changes what the definition of being able to take sick time is. So it incorporated mental health issues and incorporated family stuff, kids and things like that. I think we jumped the gun on it as a council and just approved it and gave all of our employees 2 sick leave policies that it was unnecessary. The state didn't say you had to have that in place. The state said you had to meet the requirements that were on there. And I think we need to relook at that as a council. And I wanted to give you guys an opportunity to bring it up. You can do your own research on it. I looked it up. It doesn't say you have to have that. It says you have to meet those requirements. Our current policy in the city of Babbitt is they get 2 days of sick leave a month. That is far more than 1 hour every 30 hours worked. They have a phenomenal sick policy right now. The only thing we need to do is add some of the new things on the list that are required to be added that before in the past weren't considered sick leave. So they've updated that. And I think we need to take a really good hard look at that. And if the city employees want to do the ESS, whatever the heck program, instead of the one we currently have, then that's their right. Otherwise, we need to go ahead and amend our sick leave policy to incorporate the new things that people are allowed to take sick leave for, but not add them another full week of sick leave. It's unnecessary. And I didn't bring it up to vote on it today to get rid of it, but I would ask the council to look in it. I'll be happy to talk to about it. We can let Mitch review it, but
I would make a recommendation, let Mitch review this, because some of the in here, it was under the guidance of.
Yeah, well, the reason is it has to be negotiated with the union.
Right.
So you would have to set, it is a term and condition of employment, so you would have to negotiate with the unions over it. You have 3 bargaining units. So before you can implement a new direction or a new change on it, you do have to sit down at the bargaining table with the unions to negotiate it. And that may very well be the end result, but you have to sit down at the bargaining table.
But we didn't negotiate it when we approved it.
The reason you didn't is that you actually gave and you did what a number of cities up here did, is you just basically gave the ESST as a supplement to your existing sick leave program, which you did under the statute. And so therefore you didn't have to negotiate it because you actually gave them an additional leave benefit. Now that that's in place, if you want to make a change to it, you can, but you do have to negotiate at the bargaining table before you can do it. Because the law does not allow you to make a unilateral change in a term and condition of employment without first bargaining over it. You have to bargain over it first. So you can do it. I mean, if you want to go that route, we just have to basically.
We'd have to open a contract.
Yeah, you don't have to open a contract. You you just would have to basically tell the union the council's considering doing this and basically incorporating ESST into our existing sick leave program. And we want to negotiate language over that, and then you would just sit down at the negotiating table and see if you could hammer it out.
And this came up from the library board meeting, some confusion that was going around. And I think some clarity is needed because you do not acquire sick leave when you're on sick leave. You do not acquire more vacation stuff when you're on vacation. That'd be like me getting 2 more vacation days when I'm on I get 5 weeks a year at my company. My company doesn't give me 2.5 days of vacation while I'm on my 5 weeks of vacation throughout the year.
But again, if that's been the practice here.
It's not in the contract for the union
I
contract.
know, but it doesn't, if it's been the existing practice, if the way the contract language is administered, if that becomes a practice, the union would contend that, that is essentially what they call a past practice. And if you're gonna make a change if you've had a historic practice on how that piece has been done, and now you wanna make a change, you're gonna administer it differently. Again, it's arguably a unilateral change in the terms and conditions of employment. You'd have to bargain over it.
And I don't think it's been a past practice. Yeah, please.
It's in the contract that sick time is not accrued when you're out sick. And it's in the contract also that it doesn't, I'm not sure about the vacation though.
It doesn't say anything in there,
But if you're out sick, you don't accrue sick time when you're.
ESST is looked at a little bit differently than sick time, so it's not, doesn't have the same, fall into that same category as sick time. It's kind of its own thing. You can amend your sick time to include it, but it is, when the city adopted the policy, it was a little bit different than our sick time that's in our contracts.
But the point is, we didn't have any language with it when we adopted it.
Yeah,
And it doesn't say,
was
it does not say in there that you acquire sick leave while you're taking it. That's all I'm saying is we need to look at that and make sure that we have clear language and understanding for everybody. We're not taking things away from the employees. We just need to make sure the language is clear because this just started. This isn't a past practice. So we need to clarify what it is that we want to see happen with that so that we don't.
Have we ran into that situation?
Well, the questions are coming up. It came up in the library board with an individual who's on sick leave right now that's accruing more sick leave. And so that question came up. And that's something we need to address now because it's the first time it came up. This program just started this year. This is one of the first instances of that. And we need to.
I don't know if the question was she was accruing more sick leave. She was accruing more ESST leave. And it is different.
But the language in that, what I read online and looking at the contract we approved doesn't say that they get to accrue it. It's just an assumption somebody's making. So my argument is that we need to just make sure that we have clear language. However, the council, whatever their will is for that, with employee input, with union input, whatever, we need to make sure that we have that language clear. Because right now, we got people doing what they think or feel instead of, it's not clear. We just pass something without grasping 100% understanding of what we're doing when we adopted it. And now we're in a position now where we adopted it. We can't just go and remove it, even though the city already had one of the best sick leave policies you could ask for on the planet.
Well, it's a good sick leave policy, but we also don't have short-term disability. That's why that's like that.
I'm not saying take what, we need to have clear language in there what that means. I personally don't believe that if you're on sick leave, you should be acquiring more sick leave while you're on sick leave. It's very clear.
But it already says that.
But I know, but there are people that aren't looking at it that way because it doesn't, it says that you only accrue it for every 30 hours worked. But there are people that are interpreting that as, that means that I'm still getting paid. So in my mind, I'm working. And there are people that are, that's all I'm saying. I'm bringing it to the council's attention that we should have some clarity. Let Mitch run by it so that everybody understands what's going on. So there is no abuses going forward. Like he just said, if we allow it to continue and that is what's going on, then it becomes practice and then we're stuck with it. And it's a whole different ballgame. So I think I only brought it up so the council can educate themselves on it. Everybody has internet. Everybody can look up the state statute. I read it thoroughly. It wasn't something we needed to actually do. We already did it. It's done. It could have just been an amendment to our existing sick leave to incorporate some of that stuff. So that's all I'm bringing up. And
Again, the council adopted it because it would be contract language. That's part of the union, that's why it got adopted in the fashion it got.
Yeah, I will say that, yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I think there were a number of cities up here that instead of basically going back to the bargaining table on it and reopening contracts or having to go through a negotiation over how they were gonna roll it out, there were a number of cities that just basically added it on to their leave program. So you have vacation leave, you have sick leave, some cities have personal leave, and then they just added the ESST as a special bank of hours that has its own use criteria, and they just added it on, so. And now I think what'll happen is when cities get into their next bargaining cycle, they will craft a proposal around that if they want to change it and mesh it into their existing sick leave system. But that'll all happen when the contracts come up for renewal.
Right, this was new to the entire state, so it's a trial and error right in the beginning, so.
And again, that's all I brought it up for, was that we can educate ourselves on it so that we can make sure we have the right language in there, because I'm already reading stuff that people are confused on.
Yeah, I do believe in the LELS contract, because we were doing negotiations at the same time that this policy was adopted. That was adopted, this is our contract. So the LELS one does have the wording in their contract, so.
Anything else on that, Joe?
No, that was it.
I mean,
Again, not trying to rob stuff from our employees at all. You'll be a
No.
part of the process. I think the council needs to make sure they understand these things thoroughly before.
we need to find a path of clarity, whether people can expect to increase their time when they're not working.
And I was asked to bring it up on one of the boards that the library board, when this
So-
question came up.
So Mitch, how do we go about that? What do we?
So it calls for that. I mean, I think right now, Joe was bringing it up for as an informational item. Why don't you, maybe, I think his invitation is for the rest of the council to go and read up on it. Maybe you can, look at past minutes or what we did on it, or if there's language you want to look at. But I think the invitation now is to educate yourself on it, maybe put it on the next council agenda. And if you as a council want to direct me or city staff to basically reach out to the unions and get clarity on some of these points, we can start that process. But that'll be a directive that you would give, or you may not give any directive. You might just say, let's just wait until the contracts reopen and we'll deal with it then. But that'll be your decision.
Would council rather have a paper copy to read? Would that give you more incentive to read it? Or would you like to look it up
Oh,
online?
I already looked at it. I got
know
a
you
copy.
have, Joe. How about you guys? Would you rather?
No, I would rather turn this over to, we have an attorney who works for the city. He knows our contracts. I would rather have him take a look at it, make sure that we're following the contracts, what we need to do. If it does come down that it's something that we should be negotiating at negotiation, I don't think we want to open anybody's contracts right now. I would wait until the contract time, and if that's the way to go, that would be the time to talk about it. I don't think we want to open it up at that time. But again, I would refer this to Mitch, have him take a look at it. That's his job. That's what we pay him for. I don't want to read this and try to say I'm a lawyer. I'm not. Some of the stuff that comes down, it's gobbledygook to me. So I would rather turn it over to our attorney. That's what we pay him for, and have him look into it and see if we're doing something wrong, if we're doing it right, or which way we should go, and take his recommendation is the way I would look at it.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you on that, Glenn. It's a brand new thing, and I'm not that familiar with it, and it's very complicated. And we're only on the first year of a 3-year contract, so we do have time to look at this, and I'm sure Mitch will have some advice somewhere down the line. It's not something we need done yesterday. Take time and do it right.
So my question, Mitch, would be not so much whether, I know we're not going to open up contracts or to take it away or whatever, but the question being whether time is accrued when you're off work. If that's happening, is that supposed to be happening, or is that an oversight or whatever? That's make
The
questions.
email that I received from the library board, the unions are already working with Rebecca and they're already talking about what their interpretation of that is. I believe the council should be a part of that.
I'm not working with you.
Okay, I'm just saying the email I read talked about the union is coming next week and they're gonna have that conversation on what the definitions are in all that. All I'm saying is the council should be privy to some of those conversations. Nobody in the city should be negotiating with the union reps on what
Do you have
rules
the-
are.
You don't have a state statute there, do you, Joe?
I have it in my truck. I didn't bring it in. I just wanted the council to educate themselves on.
I'd like to.
this stuff.
Yeah.
Huh?
Who's union rep is coming next week?
Lisa, you know the email I'm talking about.
They were
So
here last week.
they're here last week, okay.
Yeah, they just.
So it was a
emailed-
week behind, but I mean, they're interpreting what those rules are.
Looks last week.
And they only came to my office to introduce themselves because I've never met them, they're brand new.
Yeah, we have random people
I
that
didn't
came
have
and
a meeting
introduced
about
themselves
anything
last
like that.
week. I didn't know there was something happening. I'm the steward.
Yeah, I'm not aware either.
I go to my committee meetings and they bring stuff to my attention and that was what was brought to my attention and that was what this was discussed in the meeting. They had an email that talked about it, that there were some interpretations of things going on that we passed in regards to that, that I felt based on the information they gave me, the council should be involved in that. And that's all I'm saying. Whether they did that or not, I'm bringing up what my committee requested me to bring up to the council, was just to discuss that and get some clarity on it.
You've been talking to Connie about it?
No, I didn't go to the union meeting last. I wasn't there.
Yeah, so confused.
I did get an email from Rebecca.
Yeah, but I wasn't about any union negotiations. You had asked me if the union, if ESST was in our union contract. And that,
I don't have it.
yeah, I said it wasn't.
I can bring it to the next council meeting, but it was clear on there that the union rep interpreted
She
some of
came-
that.
She came to my office after she spoke with the library and said that she had talked with them about ESST. And said that, they weren't having any plans on changing the way that ESST was written in our policy or something like that. But that's not, I wasn't going out of my way and asking the union on anything. So, yeah, because they came. they just came-
I could take a look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm bringing it. Again, that's all I'm saying. I just would like the council to inform themselves on it.
Move on.
Refer it over to Mitch.
Somebody-
Okay. Moving on, G, hospital request.
Okay, I was contacted by one of the hospital boards. The information that was put out on their survey that they did about combining ambulances, which was in the paper, that's the first that we'd heard about it, that they were talking about it. They did a study up there in Ely. Supposedly came down here and looked at our area, got some input. Went to Tower, looked at some input, and Ely put in some input. They are, the hospital now is involved and they're requesting to have a sit down with us to talk about what this survey did and what they were talking about. And when I chatted, and they just said, well, how long are we chatting, you know? And they said, well, this is about an hour and a half, 2 hours. I said, well, we don't want you at a council meeting. Okay, this would have to be a study session of some sorts to sit down, and they want to explain what was going on with the survey. I told them all I was not happy because none of us on the council, I believe, contacted anybody or were contacted about this survey that they did about combining all this ambulance stuff. And I told them when I read it in the paper, it was like, no, you know, but they want to chat. I said, well, I'll bring it to the council. They want to set up a meeting so that they can come in and explain this survey that took place and all that, and give us a better idea. Supposedly, if the Ely Hospital takes over, we can get more reimbursement from Medicare. Never heard of that before. So maybe if we have a meeting with them, we'll let them discuss what they're talking about and go from there. But they are requesting that we set up a date, and they would be more than happy to send somebody down from there and take a look at it, so.
Yeah. I read the
just-
same thing, Glenn, and I thought, boy, this really looks good on the surface, you know, especially the Medicare reimbursements and that, but I think it would behoove us to sit down and talk to them.
You know, some of the things that were in there that really scared me was, okay, one ambulance would have it, one ambulance in Ely. They will run, pay for it, which we would end up paying, you know, into this, if we go into this thing. And then they would take all the transports out of Ely, because they have not been able to take all their transports out of Ely. And that's where the money is. And Babbitt has, and Tower has supplemented to get these transfers, and we're making money. You know, our ambulance service is sitting there, we're making money. And all of a sudden they're talking, well, we'll only give you one ambulance, we'll do that. And you know, that's kind of what I got out of this thing. That scares me. Because the question is, if they're gonna take all these transfers, if they have a transfer and Babbitt's up and they're gonna take our rig out of town, and we only have one now, who's gonna cover our town for us? Tower or Ely's? If they're asking for us to take transfer, that means all our rigs are out. So if we're taking one, that's Tower. Excuse me, by the time Tower gets here and we have a code going on, they might as well not even come, because it's not gonna go well.
Yeah,
So I
that-
mean, it's some questions, and that's what I asked was, I guess we need to have a meeting and clarify what they're really talking about, because I have a lot of questions.
Well, and I agree. It really looks good on the surface, but I would like our ambulance people there too.
Yeah.
Because they know the system a whole lot better than I do.
And it's, when I contacted, I've had a few phone calls from the ex-mayor up there, and I heard about that this was coming down, and he kept asking, well, has Babbitt been notified? Not that I know, and I don't think any of you were. I didn't know anything about it. I asked Matt, he said, yeah, we went to one meeting and they just kind of talked to Tower, us and them about some nonchalant things, and all of a sudden the survey's going. So they weren't, our ambulance service even wasn't aware of it. So the input that they got, I would be very interested to ask them quite a few questions. Where did all this do? I know, so, yeah, but I wanted to throw that, let the council know why I was contacted. I don't know. I thought I should have went to the mayor, but they called me, asked me if we could get something set up. I said I would bring it. We have a council meeting tonight, and that's why it was yesterday's phone call. I figured, well, forget it, I'll just bring it here.
And I'm sure, I'm quite sure Ely Hospital would love for Babbitt to join them, being that their budget last year was $500,000 they charged the city of Ely, where the Babbitt Ambulance Department is self-sufficient. The only reason we give them any money is so that Embarrass will provide money for the coverage area. We would be foolish to join with them at this point in time. I know, Mike, you can add to that. You've been on the service for the longest of anybody here, but
Very careful with this one. We're holding our head above water just fine. We don't need to join in with anybody else and
we're probably one of the only departments that are in the black budget-wise.
dropped down to one ambulance here in town. I don't see anything good coming of this for us.
And that's why I thought, we meet with them, let's hear their spiel. Like Jim says, Medicare reimbursement, if this is really true, and we get 110% reimbursement, never heard of it. I've never heard of it.
Out of Medicare?
Yeah,
No,
exactly. It's like, what? Because the ambulance service is run out of a hospital.
They got rid of it from the hospital before because they're bankrupt. And then they went on to privatize it, and their current people that are running it are, in my opinion, shouldn't be running it because they.
So I don't know if you guys want to set up a date, or have Rebecca try to set up a date. At least they come down and we can chat, have a, study session just to look at it. I don't think we should poo-poo it. I think they should go ahead and have their
Set up a study session.
study session. I hate another study session, but I think we should listen and find out, what they're actually talking about, what this whole survey, why we weren't involved in this thing in the first place. It's beyond me, but. Well, I just can we direct staff that there'll be a concurrence and go ahead and let staff go ahead. Try to set something.
Yes, let's do it.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Glenn.
Yeah.
Okay, that pretty much wraps us up.
We
There's
have
one
the public
item.
safety thing. Now that we have
Yeah.
we had to wait for the resignation of training.
Oh, yeah, we're back to, Public Safety Committee ambulance.
Public Safety Committee met last night. Christine is is the second in command of the ambulance service. You know, the way it usually goes, if somebody steps down, they automatically go out. But we had her and chatted with her to make sure that, will you take this? You know, is the question we asked her. She's willing to step up to the plate. We don't have elections till the end of the year. It's really hard to do something like that right now. So our recommendation was to go ahead and move her up to the ambulance director position. We also talked about then what do we do with the assistant? At this time, the way we felt in chatting about it, it needs to be somebody that's on the department that could kind of fill in. We asked Mike to come out of retirement and he obliged, no. He said he would be more than happy to help the staff because he has been in that position, more than happy to make sure the transition goes smooth and we're not missing any of that. And he would help in any way he can. At that point, we decided only one person that we knew of would be Joe White. Have him step in just until the end of the year. You know, he's on the service. He's done a good job and help out with Christine to keep things going. Then we found out we had the training officer position open up, so we knew that was coming. When we did our first interviews, Emily Jagger was a very second person that we would have put in that position, no doubt about it. And we talked about it a little bit, and we would like to offer her that position because we haven't talked to her, but we would like to offer her that training position. And so then we do have a full complement of officers until the end of the year when we can have elections again and move forward. I don't think we want to start over and have elections right now. I mean, we're in a transition kind of period. Christina's been in there. She's been doing the paperwork. Mike has been helping. You know, we do have people that can keep this going the direction we need to. So that is our recommendation, is to move these three people. The other recommendation, because we have to keep all the files and stuff under lock and key, the officers are the only ones that should be in the office, would be to have Mike be able to have access to that to help them. So we thought, just make it clear that he could have access to the office to help these individuals make sure that the runs are done and the billing and everything is done. So we would like to add that also, that he is able to do that.
Inspector General.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. At no pay.
Right. Yeah, right.
So is that a motion?
That would be our motion from the Public Safety Committee.
Motion, need a second?
I'll second that.
Motion from Anderson, second by Hoheisel. On that long-winded motion, I pledge.
The first would
Christine, having Mike.
to a director.
Joe,
Emily.
Joe White, second, if you'll take it. Joe, will you take it?
Yeah, I'll take it.
and we'll
Just
offer-
until
End of the year.
the end of the year.
Emily as the assistant.
Emily Jagger,
Training
for
officer.
training officer.
Training
We
officer.
were just advised, Becky did call her because we said we wanted to ask Emily, and she did talk to her today. She will accept the position.
Okay. So, you got that as a motion, Rebecca?
Yep.
Okay. Roll call. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Hoheisel,
Yes.
Glassstein.
Yes.
White,
Abstain.
Anderson.
Yes.
Lossing.
Yes.
And that was with Mike being allowed in the
Right.
office.
Mike being involved in the office.
And I will move to adjourn.
I'll
Next council
second.
meeting is Tuesday the 16th of 2024. Motion by Lassie, second by White to adjourn meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.
Was you guys moving on to a new project at Parliament? I just saw my brother.
Yeah, they got more money with the scales.
So
They'll
he
stay on
was
for the
that they
whole
were gonna do it. So is he back up there now?
I'm not sure. I heard him